All right, welcome back, Barry.
G'day, guys.
It's been a hard fought few rounds. We had the last one there where Ben literally just choked out.
See what I said would.
Yeah, no, exactly. But it did come down, pardon me, to that last draw where he got the Riku, which is what he needed to finish off Nick's deck.
Yes.
If he didn't get that, there was a potential for Nick to turn around and just go bam bam, like get the quick double tap in.
Quick double tap, finish him off.
Because they went from 2 each to 5-2, and he just suddenly went bam, like threw everything he had at him.
Yep, threw everything he had.
So that Riku was the deciding factor.
Riku was the deciding factor. Well, I've got good news. Both players are playing Riku decks this time.
Yeah, well, we got more of that to come. But I guess the bigger point is both players are 5-0 at the moment.
So both of these players are undefeated.
Yep.
I'm not sure about one of the players, but I know one of the other players definitely won a regional because he won my regional. And he's done very well at the others. So we're in progress at the moment. So Jye on the right has a Riku out already.
Yeah,
well, actually, they both already have Rikus out, so they're both doing well. So Jason Z, they're both playing Wind Water.
Yep.
But they're playing very different lists. So Jason is running the light Zidane package, whereas Jye is leaning on the Emperor as his darkness card.
And so as we know, the Emperor stops the ability, like basically stops spells. It's a silence.
It stops activated abilities on characters. So, for example, if Emperor's on the field, Riku doesn't do anything. For Jason. So if Jye plays Emperor, Jason can't activate his Riku, but Jye can.
And we did see that last round where the Emperor was used by Ben against Nick's Garnet. So
yes.
He couldn't use the Garnet.
Couldn't use Garnet to drop things onto the field. Now, it doesn't stop things like Waka. Waka still comes into play when he attacks. When he attacks, he still applies that passive buff to a target character for each character you control.
But of course, passives are different.
But passives are different, yes. They're triggers. But we can't see Waka use status reels if Emperor hits the field. So right now, what we're looking at is both players have got Yuna and Riku in play. Now, the way the YRP package plays is that there's two versions of Pain. The Pain that is on Jason's side of the field lets you search for a Yuna or a Riku. Yep. So in this case, the backups to help fill out your setup.
Yep.
But then there's a different Pain. A Pain is a 3-cost, 7,000. And when she comes into play, if you control a Yuna, you draw a card.
Yep.
And if you control a Riku, you actually activate 3 of your backups. So if she costs 3, she effectively costs nothing if you've got a Riku in play.
Oh wow!
A lot of these decks will use the Pain as almost a free draw a card.
Yep.
And then some decks will play ways to actually return Pain to their hand. In some ways they can almost be used. So unfortunately, unlike in Magic, you can't float mana.
Right. Yep.
But at the same time, you can still use. You could, for example, go Riku, activate Riku, then play Pain to untap the Riku and activate it again by discarding other cards from your hand. So there are other ways to get
the same kind of effect.
Same kind of effect to get advantage out of at least activating the things. So what I see there in Jason's hand is a Leviathan, which is going to be good news for whenever he plays it. Now, one of the key cards in... So Valor 4 is a summon that if you control Yuna, it's free, but it untaps everything, but it deals 3,000 to every Ford.
So
that cleared Jason's board.
Because the Pain was at 3,000.
The Pain was at 3,000, and then the Waka must have been shrunk or had some damage marked on him already from a previous one. I'm not quite sure, but one of the keys in this matchup, I think, is going to be who can get the most value out of their Pains. And who can get the most value out of their Rikus. So whoever activates their Rikus most will probably win this game.
Right, yep.
Because both decks are very similar, it is going to come down to attrition. If Jye drops... Jye is not running the Shut Off All Abilities Emperor, he is just running the 5-drop, the one that you can see in his damage zone. Which is surprising, because normally these decks will run the 5-drop to get the 4-drop, because the 4-drop can be so back-breaking in some matchups.
Yep.
As a Water Wind player myself, if I see an Emperor on the other side of the field, I'm generally having a bad time.
Yeah.
So here's Pain. So if you control any Yuna, you draw a card. If you control any Riku, you untap activate 3 backups.
That's, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, obviously it is designed to work in unison with the unit and the thing, like 100%.
It's called the YRP engine.
Yeah, yeah.
So, a lot
And
of
of course, engine is signifying like the main unit.
a group of cards that generate advantage.
Yeah.
So the 2-cost unit that is on both sides of the field actually makes all their water summons cheaper.
Yep.
So it means that instead of having to pay 3 mana to Leviathan or 3 mana to Famfrit, or 4 mana to Kakulain, it's only costing them 1 less. So it's costing them actually. So instead of having
the cost by 1.
It reduces the cost by 1. So instead of tapping and discarding a card, you only need to discard a card, or you only need to tap 2 backups or whatever. So the other thing that will be key in this matchup is who can draw their archers.
Yeah.
So archer is a backup that you pay wind and you can destroy any other backup that costs 3 or less.
It breaks the archer though.
It breaks the archer. So you break your archer, but you're destroying one of theirs. So in the case of this matchup, you're breaking their Aeriths, their Rikus, their Yunas. Depending on whichever one is the most important for your matchup. Now, usually what will happen is they'll break the Riku because the Riku is generating advantage by milling every turn and allowing Pain to essentially be free.
So we have 1 damage on Jye's side. So that's,
so Jason's got a clean slate at the moment. So Jye's 5-drop Emperor, when that Emperor dies, you search your deck for another of that Emperor and put into play dulled.
Right, yep.
So the fact is that he has already lost an Emperor. So if that Emperor gets broken, then the next Emperor that Jason gets is it.
Yeah.
So he can't keep searching for any more because he hasn't got them available to him. So some of the other main differences between the decks is Jason has got a card called Dorgan from Opus 3.
Yep.
Dorgan is a 3-drop 7,000 that he can activate and banish himself to banish any Ford on the field.
Right.
So he kills himself, but he takes
something with him.
Takes something with him.
Yeah.
So on the right-hand side, we've got Jye. Jye's played Bartz. When Bartz comes into play, you activate every wind character you control.
Right, okay.
So he has discarded a couple of cards and tapped some of his wind mana, but his wind CP has untapped, essentially.
Yep.
Gaining an advantage that way. So that's some way that he can still go, okay, I'll activate Riku, then I'll drop Bartz, untap everything, and then activate. So just do more Rikus. So they've both got exactly the same backup setup. So Jason's deck leans in terms of his card advantage. He's got the YRP package, and then he's got Zidane. Zidane is the light card. He is the face card of the Final Fantasy IX starter deck.
Yep.
So the only way to get that card is out of the starter deck, unless you are lucky enough to pull a foil out of an Opus 3 booster pack. So in this case, he was only a 2-cost.
Yep.
A 2-cost 7k that when he comes into play, he draws a card, makes them discard a card, or gains an advantage.
So that's a pretty good card to have on your side. Like,
it's a pretty good card. Pretty good. And then Steiner lets you search for him.
And that seems to be, when Sam was here before, he said that the advantage of Steiner is that it lets you look for what you want, kind of thing.
It lets you look for what you want. And the thing is that Steiner says character.
Yes.
So character means backup or forward. So if you need a Final Fantasy IX backup, for example, there is a backup that gets a forward.
Yep.
Eiko. Other decks run Artemisian. Artemisian lets you sort of take the cards from your hand, chuck them on the bottom, draw a new hand.
Right, yep.
So
it's basically a reset kind of thing.
Almost a reset because it doesn't shuffle.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a mulligan. You get to mulligan again.
Yeah, sorry, that's the
that's the way to think about it. So both players are running a new card from Opus 3 called so it's Barbarisha.
Yep.
Barbarisha is one of the Archfiends.
Okay.
And this Barbarisha ironically combos very well with the previous Barbarisha, but you can't play them both at the same time.
Right.
So this Barbarisha, what it does is it sets a character's power to 1,000.
Okay.
So that means that you can then deal damage to another way. Here we go. So what Jason has done is played a Kakulain. Kakulain shrinks a character for every dulled character that player controls.
Right.
So, but what he's done now, what Jye's done in response to the Kakulain is play Famfrit. Famfrit for only 2 water, for 2 crystal points, one of which has to be water, where they sack a creature. So instead of, because the Famfrit has sacrificed the Bartz, which was being targeted by Kakulain, Kakulain doesn't draw him a card.
He doesn't get him,
So he's denied Jason the replacement card.
I was going to say, he's literally just denied him.
He's just denied him, which, very harsh.
But I mean, like, if you were going to lose it anyway, why not?
Yeah,
You know what
well,
I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
And the fact is that by playing Famfrit, he's denied Jason a card and taken out one of Jason's characters, because Famfrit makes both players choose a fort and break it.
Okay. Yeah, and that way he still gets to kind of play the game that he wants.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to
So
this kind of new.
this is the other Zidane in Opus 3, and let's Jye look at Jason's hand, pick a card and bin it.
Right. Yep.
So very much like Thoughtseize or a Duress from Magic the Gathering. Look at their hand, pick a card, bin it, and then if your opponent has no cards in hand, he gets a buff. He gets bigger.
Yep.
But right now he's only a 3,000, so he's tiny.
Yeah. Yep.
But the fact is, you're not playing him for the attacking. You're playing because you get to look at their hand, see what's going on, then pick them apart.
Yeah.
And,
And again, sometimes in that situation, it's worth it for the information. Like,
absolutely.
It's worth it for the insight.
Yep, absolutely. Information. So if your opponent has 2 or less cards, he becomes a 3-cost 7,000. 3-cost 7,000 is about on curve.
Yep.
But the point is, comes into play, selects a card from their hand. Your opponent can't do anything about it. Card's gone.
Yep.
And
he got rid of the Leviathan, which of course is the
that's,
bounce. Yeah.
That's insane. That's great value for Jye. That puts Jye way ahead. So even though Jye has taken 3 damage, right now it looks as though Jason's only got a couple of cards in hand, one of which I think is, Hero Barts. So Jye's got an Archer there, so we may see him play that. He's got 2 Archers, even better. So
he's going to get rid of the Riku?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I would say if I was in that position, I would be getting rid of the Riku.
Yep. Well, I guess it just removes the chance that it's going to come back and bite you, and so
it's going to reduce the chance that it comes back. So, but instead, no, he's gone to play Maria here. So Maria is like a glorious anthem. It just provides a plus 1,000 to everyone.
Right. Yep.
So because Jason's only got 2 cards, Zidane is now an 8,000. So he's bigger than everything else on the field. Well, they're both 8. They're all 8,000s because they both have Maria.
So
they both have an arrow.
So the Zidane buff, does it go if you? Let's say you go from 2 cards to 3 cards.
He shrinks down.
He loses his buff. Okay.
He loses his buff again. So so as expected of a mirror match, they've all got the same backups.
Yeah. Right.
They all have all 4 backups. So they've traded off Pains and Zidane's, and now so it looks like he's just gonna pass, but he's getting ready to Riku if the opportunity presents itself.
So it's 3-1 damage wise.
3-1 damage wise, but I believe Jye may be ahead on deck.
Yes.
Because he looks like he's activated his Riku a few more times.
The trick is look at the shadows.
The shadows.
Yeah, the shadows of the decks.
Oh, I can't.
That's how we saw Ben cop it slowly. Because
all right, so Jason's got Garnet. So this is the one thing that Jye doesn't have.
Okay.
Because he's running Emperor, he's not running Zidane.
Yeah.
And if you're not running Zidane, you're generally not running Garnet.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is probably the key difference between the 2 decks.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to come down to, yes, they both can activate Rikus, but
Yeah,
Garnet generates so much advantage for free.
Yeah. So that of course means that basically any summon is now 2. Pull.
So
yeah.
you can pay two water.
Yeah.
So simply discard a water card from your hand, and all of a sudden you're generating a, Yeah. And as we've said before, you can spit out, really random things that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
So generally, for example, Garnet, and it doesn't matter what element that summon is, it's 2 water.
Yeah. Right.
It's 2 water. It's 2 water.
So that was what Sam was saying, is that based on it could be one of the fire summons, it could be a lightning summon, these more it doesn't matter.
Both of these decks are actually playing it safe. They're simply just using Garnet as a way of generating just cheap spells. They're not doing anything saucy.
So they're not waiting for a big sweep or anything like that.
They're not trying to sneak out a Belias Gifts, because they are playing 3 colors. Now the Garnets in mono water will see the splashes.
Right, yep.
We'll see the off-color summons for being quirky. So it looks like Jason is going to mug Jye with Riku's ability. So there goes an Echo and a Brother, and Jason gets to pick up. It looks like an Artemisian. So he's stuck there with a Maria in his hand, but that's free CP later on because he's already got a Maria in play. So So this is Steiner attacking into a very big creature, but he's obviously got Garnet and the Sylph. So what the Sylph does is it's an EX burst. You choose a character, you activate it, and then all of your forwards get a plus 1,000 power.
Right, yep.
So
the Steiner becomes a 7.
So by doing that, Steiner will hopefully, because you'll get a trigger off Garnet, a trigger off the Sylph. Steiner's already big because you control another Final Fantasy 9, and you have the Maria. So the Steiner will hopefully be big enough that it will trade for the Barts.
Yeah.
Which
is not too bad, really.
Yeah, considering the Steiner has already gone and got you a card out of your deck as well. Whoop, and there's Leviathan. So Leviathan is going to come in and bounce the Steiner to hand.
Here comes the negotiation.
Oh, they're just clarifying the board state. Nope, there you go. Yep, Steiner's back in hand. So the attack's
nullified,
basically. The attack's nullified, yeah. But
and so he's used the Sylph, and that means that it just...
The Sylph got blanked. Yeah. The Sylph got blanked because the target is no longer in play, so the entire effect is cancelled. Cool. Now Garnet still gets the buff though. That trigger still happens.
Yeah, okay.
From her ability, but not the plus 1,000 from the Sylph itself. But we're not going to see Jason risk his Garnet by attacking into Barts. So he's going to replay Steiner. He'll probably get a Zidane, hopefully. Yep, there he is. Yep, there's the Zidane. Nice foil one. Pretty hard to come by in terms of starter foils. So he's going to play that, put that in his hand. Then we'll see him probably discard. Oh no, he's just gonna ship the turn. He's probably and there's Jye activating a Riku. Looks like Jye has drawn Barbarisha. So we may see Barbarisha come in and shrink one of the other forwards to make an attack a little bit less dangerous. But the thing is that Jason, his backups are all dull, so I'm not really sure what we've got there. So Jason takes it. There's a Steiner. That's good for him. He gets to search his deck for another Final Fantasy 9 card. So we'll see what happens. He grabs the look at your opponent's hand Zidane, presents his deck to Jye, gives it a quick cut. And we move on. So whether or not he attacks with Barts, I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. No, he passes the turn. Jason draws his 2 cards for the turn. He's drawn another Steiner, so he's.
So that is a Steiner in there. I thought I saw it.
He just drew a Steiner, so he's going to pick up. So he's getting a lot. So the thing though is that the Steiner is picking cards out of his deck, making his deck smaller, which means that the Riku's become even more important and even more likely to actually finish a match. So Barts is going to get discarded to play another Barts, which then activates all his wind back up. So it cost him 2. Then he plays Zidane.
He's starting to get a bit scary with these frontliners there.
The board is getting quite clogged, so we'll see what happens. So in response to the Zidane coming into play, Jye wants to play the fairy so it doesn't get stripped out of his hand, draw a fresh card, and then give it to Jason to have a look. So only a couple of cards there, so the choice should be relatively simple. So, yep, Cagnazzo is going to get taken out.
I guess the handy part there is you only have the 2 cards, so it didn't offer much insight.
So you got, but if there's a trick in his hand, so what we've got here is a party attack. The 2 characters are teaming up to attack, so they basically have a combined power.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a Fanfrit EX burst off the top. So both players have to pick a character and sacrifice them. So, so Jye has chosen to not activate it because he's obviously only got 2, whereas Jason's still got more guys. So he's gone to pass the turn, and Jye's gone, done a bit of mill, and there's a Dorgan that's hit the discard pile.
So again, EX burst, of course, you don't have to play.
You don't have to activate it. But in a lot of cases, you generally want to because it's the game's catch-up feature.
Yeah.
So here comes Barts. So we could see some Barts on Barts action. They're both 10,000, but nope, he's going to choose to use Zidane as a chump block, just to not take a point of damage, which then frees him up for playing the other Zidane in his hand.
Yeah.
Emperor attacks. He's going to take the damage. There's a Yuna, which he didn't need. He's already got a Yuna in play. So he doesn't mind that. I mean, of course, he didn't know that, so it would have been a risky thing for him, but he'll look at that and be relieved, I suppose, because it's a dead card he didn't want to draw anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not too big a deal when he's already got his unit on the field. Kind of thing,
so past turn, Jason draws his 2 for the turn. There's a Pain for free, and there's another Una. So a bit of free cards. So they're just doing a quick deck count. I think Jye is going to try and play for the long game, whereas Jason's going to want to try and finish this.
Yeah,
well, I'll put it this way. Jye is tapped out. Jye is baiting. I'm willing to bet that Jye has ways to activate his forwards. So, for example, he may have an Aerith in hand.
Yeah. Which refreshes, doesn't
Which
it?
activates all your forwards, and they can't be targeted.
Yeah, right.
So, usually you're activating them in response to a Leviathan or a Kakul or, even in a lot of cases, a Dorgan.
Yep.
So the Dorgan exiles itself or removes itself from the game as part of his effect, as his cost.
Yep.
But you can just discard an Aerith, activate all my backups.
Yeah.
Your Dorgan's gone.
Yeah. So it's the counteract. It just completely nullifies
here's
it.
Pain for free, draw a card. And there's an Aerith. There's an Aerith for Jason, which will be very handy in case it comes down to a matter of Leviathan bounces, that sort of thing. So 2 costs a Dane, make his opponent discard the Barbarisha in hand. So now Jye is playing completely off the top of his deck. Well, he's got a couple of cards in hand, but he's running out of cards. The other Aerith, mate. So that Aerith is still good, though. That Aerith is a legend from Opus 3, and it's really good against the Lightning decks, because the Lightning decks deal damage with their backups.
Yep.
Whereas that Aerith says no. So Jason's attacked his Barts into Barts. Jye has activated used Aerith to activate the Barts, so they've traded off Bartses. Yep. So
which is still, I mean, you still have those 4 on the deck there for Jason, and it's
so. That's a Leviathan off the top of EX Burst. So they've party attacked. Jye has chosen to bounce the Zidane because the Pain would be free and draw him more cards. Essentially. You still have to actually have 3 CP to tap it, but you get to activate. I keep tap, dull. Yeah. So he's going to replay Zidane again, make his opponent discard, probably another card. He's probably getting worried about the size of his deck.
Because he was lower than
I believe he is lower than Jye in terms of deck size.
The thought process, the math.
He's making him discard. There's another Barbarisha. And then he will discard Steiner, play a Waka, and mills a Kakul, which is pretty good for him. So Jye's drawn a Pain as well. So we'll probably see him drop that out for free as well, but we'll wait and see what happens. I don't know. We don't have perfect information here in the booth, but we'll do the best we can with what we've got.
Unsurprisingly, they're keeping their cards a little bit.
Yes, they're keeping
pointed to themselves.
Yeah. We haven't got like poker-style pocket cams.
Yeah.
The technology's not there yet.
I mean,
so here's something I talked about earlier, where he activates Riku, then plays Pain to activate the Riku to get a second Riku activation out. And then he's drawn a card because he controls Una as well. So he's got an extra Riku out of it. So he's making it even harder for Jason to possibly... So he's put Jason on a serious clock here. Yeah. So even though Jason leads the damage race, if Jye can stall the board out a little bit longer, he will outlast
if he can defend, he'll choke him out.
But the thing is that Waka's going to be coming in. Waka attacks as a 9,000, but then when he attacks, you choose another character. Choose a character you control to get plus 1,000 for every character you control.
Wow!
So Waka, if Waka attacks and chooses himself, not counting any other buffs, he's going to become 13,000. So he's become beefy. Yeah. So now the other thing to look out for is that Waka has status reels.
Yep.
So status reels is for a water and another copy of a Waka.
Yeah.
You choose a character. That character's power becomes 1,000 and loses all abilities.
And that's of the opponent's ones, obviously.
So of the opponent. So he could... So, for example, if there was a point where Jye tries to... Say Waka attacks into the Emperor. Well, the Emperor's dull at the moment, but if Jye goes, activate Aerith to try and untap the Emperor, well, Jason can go, I'm going to blank the Emperor.
Yep.
So the Emperor, the ability to blank the Emperor will resolve first, then Aerith will untap the Emperor, but the Emperor will only be a 1,000 with no abilities.
Yeah, so it won't do anything.
So it will not get another Emperor out of the deck, and this is what I think has happened. So Waka has attacked. Can't determine which one he's been, but well, no, he's gone to. So Jye's decided to go to 6.
Risky business.
Risky business. Steiner. Oh, yep. So Steiner is attacking. We see Jye there reaching for the Aerith, so it probably means he has another Aerith in his hand to activate his forwards to try and defend this, because once it happens, he's got to block the Garnet and the Pain still afterwards. So there's the Aerith. Activate the Emperor. So
he has to end it here. He's got no cards left.
Oh yes, he does have to end it here. So this is
it.
This is the last turn. So if Jason can't get through this, and with Aerith in play like that, I can't see how he can do it. Can't see how he can do it, but we'll
the shuffle, the mad shuffle.
The mad shuffle. So
they've cancelled out each other there.
So they've traded out there. So this is almost. So I think we're gonna see Jason lose here, because he is out of deck.
Yeah. So this is it. This is he has to make a play here.
So he has to make a play here. So this is the point where having a Fanfrit would have been really helpful, because Fanfrit gets around, and then Jason scoops. So Jye moves to 6-0. Jason moves to 5-1, still in contention for top 8.
And he pulled a Riku there as well.
And he just showed a Riku just to show off. Jason's hand, not good, but that's that. So it came down to the number of Riku activations.
Yeah.
Jye clearly was more focused on activating Rikus in the matchup, and just had enough cards to outlast Jason, because Jason wasn't running Fanfrit.
Yeah.
If Jason was running Fanfrit, he would have won that game.
Yeah.
Because he would have been able to attack with Garnet. We'll get to a point where he could activate Fanfrit, choose a four that's already attacked. Jye only has one four to choose.
Yeah.
They both bin those, and then that lets Garnet attack for the win.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, that's the second close match we've had. Like the one that's come down to like the last.
Come down to the last card. Both players have, damage is being dealt, cards are being done. So the minor pecks of mill damage, so actual points of damage, ended up mattering when you add on all the Rikus at the end, because they are effectively another Riku activation for the grindy, stally matchups.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it was interesting to see that they played a very similar deck.
They play very similar decks with some slight packages, I suppose, is the big difference.
And there we are. That's round 6 down. So we still have Jye undefeated.
So Jye is still undefeated. We've got 2 more rounds after this.
So we were originally going to go for 7.
But then we found out we had more than 128. Right. More than 128 for a first time.
Pretty good.
Nationals for a new card game is a big effort.
That's pretty good.
So we gave ourselves a big round of applause earlier in the community, because for a relatively new game, Opus 1 came out roughly this time last year.
It debuted about a year or so.
It debuted at PAX last year.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So we're coming up on the first real anniversary of it. So first Nationals, first season of organised play, and I'm very excited to see where we go from here, especially when we're getting Opus 4. And then apparently Opus 5 is already planned for.
Right. Well, of course it is. Square like money.
And they'd be crazy not to.
Well, that's true. That's true. Barry, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
We will be back in a little while with somebody else, or maybe you. Who knows?
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
We'll see you guys very soon.